everyone. Let's work on the same thing we were working on yesterday, shall we? Let me make sure my loopback audio is actually working here. I had to disable it for something else earlier today. Seeing some nice signals. Hopefully everything's coming through on your end. Looks to be everything's good on this end. So since we last worked on this piece, which is the same one we were doing yesterday, I have made some additions, so let's take a listen to where we are as of right now. Actually, is loopback causing all sorts of weird issues? Yeah, it is. Hold on. Why would that be doing that? That should not be doing that. Doing that. Huh. It's not actually causing a problem. Interesting. Okay. For some reason my meter over here was really peaky. I don't know why. I had a problem earlier. I was doing the Composing Made Simple podcast earlier today, and I was getting some sort of weird feedback in the software audio routing. So I had to turn it off, and I was wondering if maybe I was getting it again, but it was not it was not that peaky yesterday. Well, good. I'm glad it's working. Let's keep going. Awesome. So maybe 3 minutes 45, something like that. I think we enter at 4 seconds in. Yeah, so minus 4 seconds off. Last note cuts off at 3:41, probably have 5 seconds of tail. Yeah, we're gonna. There's still some places that need some work, so that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna just kind of start polishing it up. So changes I've made. So I opened with this string thing that we have later. So we had added this yesterday where we didn't have this in it, but we had that string thing. So we start with that now without any percussion at all. Yeah, the piano's sounding pretty good, I think. I think we could use something a little more texturally interesting through this, but it's a good sort of way to get us into the piece. Sometimes the hardest part is just going from... So you gotta think someone's gonna be going from maybe silence between tracks into your main idea. Just going from that, making that transition from no music to music can often be the hardest. And I feel like we're in a good spot here with that. I just want to listen to this piano on its own. I feel like we're having some pedaling issues. I'm actually gonna... Here we could easily let that hang out over the end a little more. Not the whole thing, just the one, just the off. Yep. Hey Phoenix, nice to see you again. Guys here. So this is Forzo from Heaviosity, which is a library I really like. Some more interesting synth stuff happening through this. So let's mess with some stuff. I think we're gonna start by trying out some gravity patches. They may not work out, but I think some of the gravity stuff might be nice just for a little bit of texture. And I lied, I'm actually gonna do... hold on. Let's see how this sounds. I'm not going to reveal what it is till it either works or doesn't. That way I look like a genius, right? Sounds great. That is actually Contemporary Drama Toolkit from Spitfire. Too on the nose. Hold on. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. It's a little... It needs to kind of come in. So we added just a little synth ARP here. This is from Dark Zebra. It's an unfinished ARP that I thought was nice. I kind of like the idea of it sort of progressing from sort of a mushy, those cassette strings and stuff that kind of open us up, and then those kind of very tribal drums, then it kind of progresses. And so now it's almost as if the sound moves through time a little bit, which I think is kind of a neat idea. Obviously, you can't do that too literally because you don't want it to sound weird, but... Hey, Fauzen Raman. I hope I'm saying that correctly. How are you? See, that's not coming in the way I want it to. I don't think it's using modulation after all. Why is my mouse not moving up and down? Oh, that's fun. There we go. Must have had a piece of dust in the lens there. This should do it. There, that's a lot smoother as it kind of comes in. This section right here, from about 101 to 110 through 109, these 8 measures bars are a little sparse, I think. Since we just used the other texture, let's do something new. I'm glad that was a piece of dust in the mouse because it's a little low on battery, lower than I usually let it be. Oops. I was like, oh no, should I have charged it? Let's try this. That is not nearly enough. Oh, that has a lot on it. We're gonna put this through some really funky reverb here. Let's just throw it through. Where is it? Ah, the Hollis Shimmer. This is gonna be very abstract. There we go. I'll mess with that later. Except for that it needs to start on time. Yeah, that just gives us a little bit more transition, so it's not... It kind of felt like the bottom, I thought, was kind of dropping out all of a sudden right here at 102. That just fills it in the space, just subtly. Here we definitely need some more. Wait, why did I lose this? Did I lose this? I should be hearing this. Oh, maybe not. You could maybe do like a pulse here. Still haven't updated Omnisphere. Let's use another unfinished. Unfinished stuff is great, by the way. You're looking for some just like easy plug and play presets. Hard to go wrong. I like that one. Let's make it slower. And does it have like a... Yeah. I know I've been delinquent. I agree. Trying to be more intentional about it during the day now. So I went down this huge rabbit hole in terms of streaming where I was going to try to not do the video encoding on this machine that I'm working on here because... Well, first of all, it's an iMac, and iMacs are pretty good for music production for the most part. They're a little bit noisy. They're more noisy than I like. And doing the video encode just is very stressful on the machine, and it ramps up its fans, which is really irritating to me. So I had gotten this whole solution set up where I was taking the video out of this machine and putting it into a box and doing all sorts of stuff, but it just could never really handle the 1440p resolution that I need the monitor to be on, because that's the native res of this monitor. So what we can do here is now we can start matching these chords. What are those chords? A, E, so it'd be like... Cool, and that's a great place to stop. Did you try NDI for OBS? I don't know what that is, so I don't think so. But maybe, if it would help a few things. Gotta remember, it's also a Mac, which for music production is awesome, but for other things can sometimes be a little quirky. Let's give this a little bit of movement here. We're also going to kind of just slowly ease it out here. A little bit of a curve, not a lot. No, I'll try it. I'll take a look at it. I mean, I'm assuming I still have to capture here. I mean, I wasn't sending it through Ethernet. I was sending it out the just regular, you know, video outs that you would use, as if it were basically a cloned monitor. It's okay. You know, the current setup is okay. It's not fantastic because I can still hear the fans, but I've managed to at least, I hope, get them out of this, because that was really annoying in this, is you could hear the fan noise in this at an obnoxious degree when I first got it working. this stuff, this like lovely vocal stuff needs to go away quicker. It's very loud for too long. It needs to decay away. I mean, I do very little processing on this actual machine that you see me working on. That's the whole point of using VE Pro, but it's enough, especially if I'm using like Portal, which I am, a granular synthesis plugin. So I think some like bells here might be nice. Let's try these age bells from the acoustic grand ensembles from 8DO. Let's see what we can do to make that a little kind of this more abstract designed sound we've been kind of going for here. Where does that live? That lives on... I'm trying to remember which server that patch is on. What are effects? Sure, I don't even know what these do. These are probably terrible. Yeah, that's not what I want. That's okay. Let's make the attack a little less. That's interesting. So that's some reversed, which is cool, but it takes too long. What if we, does it do it based on the length of the note? No. Okay, so we can't reverse them. We'll put some delay on them. That's always good. And I just like, my favorite thing to do is just throw the default stereo delay on them. 90% of the time it goes 90% of the way to where you want to go anyway. Why is that not delayed? Turn the attack down a little. Make it a little more. Oh yeah, Futurama. That's right. That's awesome. We're gonna work toward helping you unhear that by using it in some other stuff. It's funny, as soon as I read that comment, I knew exactly what you meant. Dun 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 dun. It's even pretty close to that, yeah. Let's do the allophone with it. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never actually heard this word pronounced. I just read it. Oh. It's too low for them. It's too low. Go up an octave. And these can... Really? I mean, I thought the velocity was too low, but... And what if we just crank it? What happens? There we go. Okay, we want to do maybe some vocals here, actually, too. It's going to be this, like, moment of, like, sacred music. Just for, like, 4 bars. Let's grab some Eric Whitacre sopranos. Actually, that could go for one more measure. Especially once we dynamically shape it so that it's actually phrased instead of just being all... Oops. Actually, we can probably do that too. That's nice. Let's throw some, just so that I don't forget. Let's throw some expression on there too, since Spitfire. Have it match that almost completely. Yeah. And let's just copy that onto the altos, but then we'll record new pitches. Can't unhear Futurama. See, now I can't unhear Futurama. At least we haven't written My Heart Will Go On accident, like last time. Beatific. I love Eric Whitacre Choir. I mean, it's just so good. It's just so good. We might be able to use this little phrase too in other parts. Little granular stuff happening on the Celeste. This is something I want to work on. Right now, this is Audio Bro, because I like their Divisi on the full ensemble patches, but I think I'm going to add something else to this. I think that's going to be one layer of a string part. I think we're actually going to use those cassettes again, just for this, just to layer with this time, instead of with the Suspiro. Let's just take the volume of the organic strings. I love Mark Tree. Hey guys, guess what? Contact, or ladies and gentlemen, Contact, people of all, Contact is got a note stuck. Oh, maybe not. Is that really how long that lasts? So we probably don't need this, or rather what we should do is grab this, all these modulation events and make them expression events. Still not right. That's a little better. Yeah, that's better. It might have messed up the beginning, because I think I turned that release up for this opening. It's actually a little cleaner. I could maybe go with a little bit more. Try something with these cool synth vocals. Where is that? Just give me a second to load a second patch to layer with them. Does that sound good at all? Let's listen. It's just a second vowel layered on top of the sort of na-nas. It actually really works. This does not work. It needs to be on the same piano that it's... Oops. We should be able to go an octave lower, right? Oh, no, we can't. Oh, that's alright. We just want the low octave anyway. So I like these strings. They're a little close. They feel very present. Give them some more verb. And also I'm going to move those SSO violins back. I think it's the Sino strings that sound too close anyway. That was a lovely legato too, wasn't that great? Let's make these a little more ambient too. All right, who is it? Is it you? Yep, it's CS. Da-da! Do you hear it like re-triggers? That's very irritating to me. It like re-triggers the pitch. What are you doing? I'd almost rather it didn't even have the transition. It sounds like it has a transition anyway. Of course, now you can't hear it. Teamwork, work, require. Oh, hi, drummer boy. How are you? And thank you. The floor is still falling out at 118, but that's okay. We'll fix that. Okay. So we really want this to start at 102. And honestly, as loud as it can go is better. Just a second. Understandable. Let's see here. Yeah. I hate when things are happening outside my house. They're removing a tree outside your window. That sounds really noisy. The other day, somebody, like 2 houses down, was having their vents blown out. I mean, totally fine. Obviously nothing wrong with that, except for that the truck that was blowing this air was like, I mean, seriously, it was like a G. Like, where's G? It was like, and I just like, and I happened to be writing something in E major at the time, which obviously the third is G sharp, and I was mad. So we can kind of, part of the reason why the floor is dropping out is that these don't go away. So if we change that, it would be better. And like, if I would have known that this thing was going to be there, just putting a G out, maybe we could have like worked something out. Like maybe C major, nice little fifth going all the time. The G major, the root. Still too loud there. And I think it's because we're doubling the piano on the Olafar for here, so we're just gonna duck it a bit. Here. back to that. I want to fix this transition. Here, just little surdos. But like in time. Sorry about the piano, like, vomit that happens sometimes. It's MIDI chase. Yeah, that sounds more, like, sensible. Oh, we're not actually using this? Interesting. Maybe we should do some drum programming. We haven't done enough of that on this piece. Oh, that's right. It's because I don't like this. Or this particular palette. Okay. Well then, let's see. Let's listen to it all the way through. See what needs to be worked on. We're getting there. This is definitely gelling with the other tracks that I've been working on recently, so they should fit nicely together, I think. Here, I'll put it on the score so that there's some information here. Try and make it a size that is semi. Okay, so yeah, we're in good shape. So we need to go back to 46. What was wrong with 46? See, this is the problem. Now I don't remember. Let's listen to it. I'm sure it'll pop out to me. Give me just a second. Maybe some high perk like rim clicks. Yeah, I know we need some more of that. I agree largely. So this was supposed to help us transition. Why is it not? Oh, because it's just too quiet. Try kit sounds here. Oh, you know what? No. I don't want this. The only problem with load on demand, sometimes you're like, oh no, wait, I didn't actually want that instrument. I want HZ. I want my HZ. There's some high stuff in there. Just going to load the instance on my other monitor so I can actually see what instruments we're playing with here. No. Yeah, something like maybe like that. I don't want snare. Yeah, even just that sound might be enough. Yeah, if we did some like delay on that. Yeah, and obviously it's incredibly present right now. We're going to have it not be as present. And we will obviously play it in time, and we're going to want these two even more dramatic. Still too loud. Let's delay them though for a second. And once again, I'm gonna be lazy and just throw the default stereo delay and see what it sounds like first. Yeah, just less of it. Just like maybe 20, like let's try half. So, the only thing I don't like about it at the moment is I think this should go bum bum bum, and then this should be like an afterthought, like a little ghosted note. Dun, dun, dun. Some tam-tam, maybe? Like, but good tam-tam. But good tam-tam. Can I have the good tam-tam, please? Yeah. Yeah. It's E, please. Yeah, just a little thing to kind of support that. I actually really like how subtle that is. Yeah, the high perk here is a good call. It's still a little present. Let's pull it down just a tiny bit more. I think this could be a little bit more. Maybe here. Nope. That's exactly what I didn't want to do. That's fine. Repeat that section. Let me run a quick save, and by a quick save, I mean let's all stare at a spinning beach ball for a few minutes. So I'm actually back on like the August 2020 version of Logic because the newest version just does not work for me. Copy section between locators. It freezes. I don't know. It updated, even though I was convinced I had turned off automatic updates. But it updated, and it was like, hey, you can't run this without Big Sur. So I was like, fine. So I installed Big Sur. But then it didn't work. I was like, Urgh. So we're on Big Sur, but then several Logic versions back now. So yeah, we got to do something new here. Let's see. What about... Neither can I. But I want to see if I did it right. Let's find out today. Did I record that right? So probably one of these. Yeah, I don't get that either. Like, why? Like, you make this. I mean, and to be fair, this iMac is... I need new iMac. I need no iMac. So, you know, if you're feeling generous, go stream my stuff on Spotify. Help me pay for a new iMac. And actually, what I probably need is like so actually, I say that in jest, but I could probably afford a new one. What I'm waiting for is to see if they M1 the iMac Pro, or you know, when they do the Mac Pro on the new ARM chips. I want to see if they keep up the iMac line or what, and if not, I'll just grab probably a Mac Mini, honestly. The M1 Mac Mini, or M2, or whatever it is by the time it's time to upgrade. If you can get your stuff on Pretzel Rocks, they are constantly my highest rev per month. Interesting. Consistently. Okay, cool. Hey, welcome back. Except for where we did that just a little bit earlier. Please. That does not sound like it's loud enough right now, but I think once we layer it again, and I think we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab... Let me just name these so I don't get confused here. We're going to do these an octave lower on these guys. Loading plugins. What did you miss? We worked on some choir stuff. We added some high perk over here. Not a lot. I'm gonna play the whole thing again because I want to hear it in context once I'm done with this little section right here. Oh yeah. Here's a fun thing that Logic loves to do. When you're copying, I could have sworn that before when you copied two regions from double tracks, if you pasted them, it would just paste it on the next lowest track, but it seems to no longer do that. We'll just grab all this. Down one octave, please. What does that sound like? Cinestrings. We gotta have a heart-to-heart. I love you very much. Your legato is just wonky as all get out today. Why? I cannot stand this when a legato transition re-articulates. Duh, duh, duh. Drives me crazy. Crazy. Turn off snap, that'll help. See if we can get this to... If you don't give it enough room, it doesn't always do it. I love the tone. The tone is so good. This is why I put up with your wonky legato. That's weird. Close. This one doesn't do it. They're not the only library that does this. They all do it. Hollywood Strings does it all the time. Hold on, I gotta change a few mics around here because we need these to be a lot more ambient in their sound. See if this sounds better. Cinebrass is the same issues. I think it's just how Contact deals with legato transitions. No, it's not Contact, it's the library. It's okay, I mean... I mean, part of it's just the age of the library. I think Cinestrings is fairly old, as string libraries go these days. And all the libraries sort of that era do that. The only one that I know of that never does it is CSS, but in that case you have to like feel like your strings are muted at all times. CSS is too dark for me. But it never does it. And even today you'll occasionally get a library that does it. Performance Samples doesn't really do it. Performance Samples usually is pretty agile. You just need a control to control how big the transition is, usually, and here's the other thing, and this is how I fix it in Hollywood Strings, which I don't currently have installed, just because I'm moving it. But if there's a controller for transition, you can just turn the transitions down and really, really fix it. But like a lot of the older libraries don't have that. So. I love the tone of Sinistries though. Berlin doesn't do it nearly as much either. It's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to actually even layer this even further on even more synthy, stringy stuff. So if we go to, say... Let's see if we can find a good Novo patch that would work here. Yeah, I mean, CSS doesn't do it ever. Let's solve this. Not that one. Whew. No thanks. Is this one good? Let's find out. Today on, is this one good? Nope. It's kind of a cool sound, but I don't want it for this. This is awesome. Okay, so it's super squeaky right now. We're going to fix that. And we're also, it's obviously too loud. But I think once we, actually, I think we can EQ out a lot of the squeaky. I actually kind of like the squeakies. Let's do something even more cheeky. And I'm going to be a bad person, and I'm just going to put this direct on the track instead of doing the bus, the send, because I'm a bad person. That reverb is pulling the squeakers out even more, but I kind of like it. I like it. I like it, actually. I'm going to keep it. It's kind of weird. It reminds me of like an HC. In fact, we're going to quadruple layer this on HD strings. Just to kind of get a really complex tone color. And what I'll maybe do is, over here when it goes into octaves, the HC will do the lower octave instead of the upper octave. Let's see what that sounds like. This is just the HC. Oh, this is... Let's put it on. We don't need... Collinear chart. What is this song? So the transitions here are... There are no... Oh, why are we on legato? Why are we on legato? Oh, because I have a key switch in here. Hold on. Go away. Hold on. Let's do long super flatando. Do you know of any other sample? Oops, sorry. Do you know of any other sample library developer that has a super flautando articulation? I do not. I love it. It's like my favorite thing about Spitfire is that they love their flautandos. No close mics of any kind on this. Hygiene moment. Hold on. Name regions, color regions, just so that I don't lose track of which region is actually on which track. Hold on, let me work the mics on this guy. I want him to be even more distant. So less tree, like maybe 50% tree. Lots of ambience. Lots of bottle. Where's the balcony? Oh, gallery, yeah. So I did get the lovely privilege of being able to be at air to record something. I mean, everyone knows what it is, but let's just not say it out loud. And I will say that the sound from the gallery in air is like transcendent. Absolutely transcendent. It's getting a little sandy with all those that lip that's and everything, but I kind of like it. I was standing in the gallery, and there was this like part where there was kind of this like curve in the ceiling, and we were doing some brass recording, and there was a tuba like right down on the floor, like right in front of the gallery. And he plays the note, and the sonic properties of that little curve were such that it felt like the tuba was like pushing down on me from above, like I was being crushed by the sound. It was really cool. It was another composer's piece, but it was cool. It's really cool. Hey, Peter. Nice to see you. Oh, and Alex. Nice to see you as well. I think I went a little crazy on something on this vocal pad here. No. So, in general, these need to just be louder almost every time I hear them, so I'm just going to nudge them up by, let's say, 0.5. They're just not speaking super clearly. Part of it's because I have them through a very, very wet IR, but... Do I want to go back to the English Hornwell that I've been on for a while? Do I want to do it? Let's do it. Let's try it. Actually, this penny whistle could be cool too. Where is it? Let's just see what it sounds like. No, it's gonna end up being too. It's gonna sound too close, and if I make it sound too far away, it's gonna lose all of its. We're gonna lose it. I like it, but I don't think it's gonna work. But you know what might work? Some Vento. That designed sound. I don't want it to swell quite as much. Do you regularly live? If you haven't one, what's your planning? This will not be live. The only live stuff I do is if it's for something big, like Halo. I am trying to get I have some string quartet writing. I'm gonna try to get recorded. I haven't actually gotten it all set up yet. If I do that, I'll let you know. Kind of like how that goes and who that is and how it worked out. I mean, if I was gonna record this, yeah, I would just work out the parts and write them out or send them to orchestrator. I don't work in huge budget projects a whole lot, so that's not good. So I don't get. Most of the time it's just synth sketches that I do. That's kind of cool. We'd have to drench it in reverb, but that might work. Oh, helps if you're in the right spot. Helps if you're in the right spot. Okay, let's listen to the whole thing in context. I'm gonna mute my mic so that my like weird sounds that I make when I like move my chair around or something don't come into. But I think this one is in real good shape. I think it just needs just a little bit more mixing polish. I think perk is a little loud, needs to come down. I need to listen to that on nice monitors to really know. But yeah, I think this one's in relatively great shape. So let's listen to the whole thing and see what it sounds like. think this needs a... Where's the thing that I'm looking for? Edit tempo. Maybe because I have it down here instead of... What is going on here? Yeah, there we go. Silly. This is maybe a couple of days, maybe about 4 or 5 hours, I would say, of work. I streamed the whole thing. I posted the first day on YouTube just, I think this morning or last night sometime. See if that sounds nice. Bet you this sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, that's in pretty good shape. I mean, you just do it a lot. The more you do it, the faster you get. This one, so I did this one a little differently than what I normally do. Normally, I will sit down with like some music in mind, some like a melody or a harmony or something, and kind of work it out from there. That sometimes takes a little longer. With this one, I actually programmed all the percussion first to kind of give it a structure and a feel, and then you put everything on top of that. And actually, I found that that sometimes goes a lot faster. Sometimes it doesn't. And it's only good for me for pieces that are kind of have that driving percussion obviously behind them. If it's a piece that doesn't have percussion, that trick doesn't work. But that's really sped me up a lot. There's I recently, just like maybe a year ago, tried that one time. Maybe 6 months ago, did the first thing where I did that, where I sat down with the percussion, worked out the whole percussion story first, and then wrote a piece on top of it, and I had such a good experience with it. I now have done it a few more times and it's worked out. But it's not for everybody. It's not for every piece. So yeah, this was basically yesterday. All we did was, for the most part, this stuff. So just working on these drums. Trying to make a story out of them, give them somewhere to go, give everything a beat. One exception being this HC perk. So, not the Mark tree either. I find sometimes the most productive workflow for me is to do a little bit on stream, do a little bit off stream, do a little bit on stream. Because it's really fun to do it and know that there's like people watching and enjoying it. And that sometimes activates, I feel like every composer is secretly super arrogant. And there's a certain level of like, oh, I'm going to show you how cool I can write. And that's helpful, but there's also kind of a lot of pressure there, where sometimes when you get into that part where you're rewriting the same 4 bars 18 times, it can be a little bit, you feel, oh, this must be terrible. I'm terrible. So a mixture of the two can be really helpful, I found. Got a call to move my car again. It's a big tree coming down. Oh my gosh. That sounds kind of scary, actually. Well, I live in this house was recently built in like 2018, I think. We bought it new. We actually like built it, and and so there's like no trees, because when they make a new neighborhood, they like blast the earth from space, and just like glass the ground and start with just nothing. So there's like no trees here. But in my old house, it was in a much older neighborhood, and I loved it because there was just these huge trees. But every time it gets windy, you look out the window and you're just like, is that what's going to kill me in my sleep tonight? Is it going to be that tree? I don't know. I'm wondering, my only thing I might do is I might put some real brass samples with these Forzos. Let's try it. Let's just try it. What about some JXL A6 trumpets? And give me a second. I gotta watch the. I have to watch the remote desktop because this one's a sign instance, and if you touch, I send any MIDI data to a sign instance in VE Pro before it's ready, which it is now. I've noticed it tends to. What's the word I'm searching for? Oh, that's right, crash. Crash horrendously. So we are on the JXL Trumpets A6. Edit. Paste at original position. My studio space is in a set of old building with a round wall. Haha, that's the whole reason I got this place was for the round wall. Nice! Yeah, I've got 90 degrees stuff everywhere. You can see I've got my big bass traps that are in every corner. I can't do it over here because the door is kind of weird. And actually, I have like a whole stack of acoustic treatment that I haven't put up yet because I'm lazy and because it's just like a box, you know. But it's nice because there's windows, so that's nice, I guess. I just want to hear just this new stuff we did. Oh. Sign just crashed. Thank you, Orchestral Tools. That's okay, we just saved it. There goes Logic. This annoys me for two reasons. One, when there's an error in sign, it should not crash VE Pro. So that's on Vienna. But sign should also not be crashing like this. All right. Vienna is restarted on the server downstairs. Let's reload the project. You know, normally if you just baby sign, it doesn't crash, but yeah, use the autosave. That'll be a little bit newer. 2 minutes ago. Now you get to see what I'm doing while the 5-minute counter is going. This is what I am doing. I'm looking at this. Usually. So. Yeah, I really like Sign Player. Actually, I think the functionality in Sign Player is just... I really like their mic merging feature. I love that they let you buy... I mean, I don't do this, but it's really cool that I would have the option to like buy just... Like, say I was using these A6 trumpets... You can just buy the A6 trumpets and not the rest of Junkie XL if you so desire. You know, so if you really want that A12 horns patch, it's really cool that you can do that. I haven't used Sign yet. I only have the Inspire libraries from Berlin, though. Not one of their bigger libraries. Yeah, I haven't tried Inspire. Chris Sue, who I do a podcast with, he really likes the Inspire libraries for sketching. He thinks they're really, really good. So I haven't tried them. The only orchestral tool stuff I own is Junkie XL brass, Berlin strings, Berlin brass, Berlin symphonic strings, and then I own Arc, the first Arc, which I never use, even though I hear it's amazing. I just never had a chance to really delve into it a whole lot. It kind of those kind of libraries I don't usually do a lot of. I just heard such good things about it that I have it around. I have a couple of use cases where I know if I was trying to go for some really meaty low staccatos, that might be a good library. So that's one of the reasons I have it around. Anyway, but so my very first orchestral tools library was Junkie XL, so I'm very late to the orchestral tools game. And so really Sign was my first OT experience. And actually, I liked it when it first came out a lot better than after they updated it a few times, which seems to be the opposite of everyone else. My issue is that I'm in the 8DO VIP club because I bought so much from them. Now I have to feel like I need to look there first. Totally. I am also a V8P person. I have tons of 8DO stuff. I love 8DO. The other day I was going through my template and somebody, I think it was on YouTube, somebody left a comment. I'm surprised to see 8DO centered in there. I'm like, why? It's awesome. It's so good. It's so good for layering. The staccatos in 8DO Sentry are real nice. But yeah. So Sign has a cool feature where you can make your own mic mix. Move your tree up, move your close to where you want it, move your balconies and ambience. And they've got lots of mics in there. Get it all good, and then you can say merge mics, and it will actually push it down and make a new mic called custom mic 1. And so then you're not actually loading a ton of different samples at once. It literally collapses them down to one thing, which really saves on resources. It's pretty cool. All right, so where were we? JXL trumpets, A6. Are you gonna let me load these? Let's see. I'm gonna try to play them. Everybody, cross your fingers. Well, hold on. They outputted sound. Gotta move some windows around here so I can see chat. Do you have any music you'd rather for any random reason? Sorry, Alex, I'm not quite following that one. Do you have a music you'd rather for any random reason? Huh. Sorry, I'm not quite. Ah, there we go. I mean, the tone for JXL is awesome. Sorry about that. I'm just not sure what that question is. If you could rephrase it, that'd be awesome. Sorry. Let's make these. It's probably because I triggered 2 legatos. I'll use a translator. If you're a non-native English speaker, no worries. If you are a native English speaker, no worries. Sometimes it's hard to articulate things. Let's see what this sounds like. I just want to hear what this sounds like. There's no modulation in this because of reasons. I'm just going to, real quick, just to get a quick and dirty idea of what this sounds like, if I just do this. Come on. Nope, don't want a second one. Okay, cool. So, in my continuing desire to sort of help people out if you're like looking at JXL, notice how beautiful the top volume is, but also notice that there's a lot of it. So we're gonna tone this down a little bit. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, you have to deal with kind of Sign pros. And I hear Sign is much better when it's not a VE Pro or not on Windows or something. I don't know. There's a lot of people that seem to have a great experience with it. And I am of the opinion that although Contact is awesome, it is bad for everyone to use Contact and Contact exclusively all the time. Sample library developers, I mean. Like, I think that's too much. That's too much for one. Too much power for one group. I think Contact is awesome and has its place, but I like to see people like Spitfire and OT doing their own players too. Oh, cool. New question. Alex, I was wondering if among all your music, you'd have one that you would prefer. Oh, out of all my stuff I've written, do I have something I prefer? I probably do. I can't actually tell you what it is because it hasn't been released yet. There's one track on Halo Infinite that I am exceptionally proud. There are a couple tracks on Halo Infinite that I'm exceptionally proud of. That have not yet been released. That I'm excited to see come out this fall. So. think is where I want this. Da, da, da. Don't. I want to transition there, please. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, I'm really excited for more Halo music to come out. They posted the one track, the exploration queue, which I like. It's a great queue. I really, it was one of my favorites. But there's some other stuff on there that I'm very excited, and it's been real hard. You know, when they announced the delay, it's like a year, and I'm like, oh, that's been hard. Video games are kinda a miracle that anything works ever, so they can take it. Yeah, I know. It's so true. And, you know, I knew that, like, AAA development is, like, hard, and that, like, it's a lot of people, and it's a miracle that ever gets done. All those things that you hear. But having actually now had the experience of working with people who work on them, I am even more just, I don't understand how any of it ever gets finished. I don't understand how any AAA games ever come out. Ever. Like, it's a miracle. I mean, so, like, if I'm working on a queue for, like, when I was working on Halo, it was like, write the queue, work with, mostly the music supervisor, but also, the narrative team and the audio team, and, the number of people that actually see it and touch it and work with it and have input on it and are stakeholders in it, right? Because they, maybe it's the cinematic director or the whatever. It's just the audio, just the music for that one little piece, just has to be just polished down, and everybody gets a say, and of course they get a say because it's their baby, right? And it's just a miracle. It's just a miracle. I don't understand. I think the only reason games ever come out is because they have release dates that they eventually have to commit to. Okay, the other ones are just a tiny bit late, but this first one needs to be on time. All right. Yeah, Halo is definitely the biggest thing I've ever worked on, by far. All the other stuff I worked on have been indie games, which is not to disparage those games. I actually really enjoy doing indie games, and I would like to do more of them. It's really nice sometimes to just work with something that's a little smaller in scope. Still think this contemporary drama toolkit voice is still just, like, really on top of everything else that needs to get tucked in. that goes. Sorry. Let's try it again from here. That feels less like I'm smothering everything. I think I can even afford to come down just a tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, so one little thing I'd like to add here is when we do this B flat chord, I want some brass with us. And then we'll fade out there. I don't know how I can understand what you're saying. Usually I have problems understanding what someone says orally. I don't know. I try to be pretty precise when I speak. Oh, sounds like the baby's up. Hold on, just a little crescendo in the middle of this. Because we're going to use this dynamics curve for the other 4 horns or 3 horns. Yeah, I would have sort of maybe the standard American accent, your standard CNN accent is what I've heard it called. Cool. I'm just going to finish these horn parts and then I got to hop off. I hear my kid waking up in the background here. Or possibly not going to sleep, because actually he shouldn't be going to sleep until about now, but I'll go figure out what's happening over there. Let's do the low horn first, because that helps me. One thing I don't like about Berlin Brass is how quiet their horn one is. So you tend to end up with dynamics curves like this, and then you put them on the other instruments. And they don't work because they're too loud. Let's use that one for the next horn. And actually, I think we might end up just doubling that horn 1 on horn 2. I don't think we need more than 3 parts. Yeah, I think the French accent is lovely. It's so nice. I think French is such a lovely language. I visited Paris in 2014. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very nice. Didn't make it out last time when I was in England for recording, but yeah. Yeah, see now this is too loud because Horn 1 is weirdly mellow. And of course we should know that 127 is way too high of a dynamic for this, but you were in Paris in 2014 too. I accidentally I accidentally I was at the Eiffel Tower, of course, because you're in Paris. What else are you gonna do, right? You know, as a tourist, and they were selling champagne for some. I can't remember how much it was. It was very expensive for because of course, right? Like that's fine. That's understandable. Um, and my wife was like, "Please, this is our one chance to drink champagne together on the top of the Eiffel Tower." I said, "Well, okay, you know that's fine." So I reach into my wallet. I get out like some cash that I have, and right then there's this huge gust of wind, and like I kid you not, like 25 euro worth of bills just out of my hand off the side. So if you happen to just have some money float down from the sky, that was me. If you were near there, that's sounding much better. So I like this. It's a little no. Until I just want to hear all four horns, please. Also, let's do some track hygiene here. So I don't like the way that this kind of bomb. These need to like come from almost niente. In fact, let's just have them all come from niente. Yeah, when I was a middle school teacher, I used to always tell that story about throwing money off the Eiffel Tower, and I try to get my middle school students to I try to tell them that this is a it's a tradition. It's what you always do. Everybody does it, you know. That's a joke. And none of them ever believed me. Mr. Schweitzer, we know you're super klutzy. You just dropped it. They weren't wrong. Paris is a cool city. I didn't visit Paris since 2014. I live in West Paris, part of France. Far nice. Yeah, bills. Yes, paper. Yeah, I haven't been to the other parts of France. I was kind of sad we had to go. No, I actually really despise coins. Like, I really hate coins. I don't ever carry coins. My wife hates it because I'm constantly leaving change everywhere. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna call that a day as far as doing composition today. This is, I would say, somewhere in the range of 85 to 95% done. I need to mix it with, like I said, with nice, actual monitors. Listen to it on some different headphones. There's probably a few places where the texture could be thickened, but I'm gonna need to. But one of the things I have to do for that is to step away from it for a day or so and then kind of come back. So I think we're gonna be done with this one as far as streaming is concerned. and then the next place you will be able to hear it will be when I release it on an album. So, yeah, let's listen to what we've done over the past couple of days. I think this is sounding pretty great. Um, Once this plague lifts, I'm seriously considering moving to Europe for like 6 months because I've been in my apartment for a year straight. I'm with you. I'm with you. So yeah, let's listen to this one more time. Like as usual, I'll mute myself and get rid of my picture, and we'll listen through it, and then I'll say bye, and we'll have the end of the stream. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. It's been fun, and yeah, I'll see you on the next stream. Here, let me just get rid of myself here. I did order a stream deck, so there's not going to be any more of this, staring at this monitor up here. I'll just be able to change it. It'll just be me staring down at the stream deck instead. So it'll get better. Nice. All right. It's been fun, everybody. Thanks for stopping by, and see you later.